Now, you want to see how a debate's done right? Unfortunately, we're going to have to go to Donald Trump here because he didn't do everything right. And the fact that he says he doesn't know any foreign policy at all, but he'll learn it when he becomes president is unbelievable. I've never seen an admission like that. So don't get me wrong, he didn't play the whole debate right. But especially in a Republican debate, if you want to do things right, here's what you do. You attack, and you attack immediately, and you attack viciously. First question goes to Donald Trump on whether he has the right temperament to be president. And he answers it this way instead.
First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls. And how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway, as far as temperament, and we all know that.
I mean, no politician would answer that question that way, right? Because they've been trained by guys who are milquetoast, right? They ask you about temperament, and you go off on a guy that's on the stage with you? That would seem to be a bad answer. Wrong! Great answer. Okay, let me tell you about my temperament. I go out and I punch people in the face. That's what I do. And here's how the Republicans react to that. Yes! Dude, he broke the guy's jaw in the first question. That guy can't talk for the rest of the debate and pretty much didn't, right? So then later, just a little bit afterwards, they want to go to Rand Paul and get his reaction, and they have this back and forth.
I kind of have to laugh when I think, sounds like a non sequitur. He was asked whether or not he would be capable and it would be in good hands to be in charge of the nuclear weapons, and all of a sudden there's a sideways attack at me. I think that really goes to the judgment. Do we want someone with that kind of character, that kind of careless language to be negotiating with Putin? Do we want someone like that to be negotiating with Iran? I think really there's a sophomore quality that is entertaining about Mr. Trump. But I am worried. I'm very concerned about having him in charge of the nuclear weapons, because I think his response, his visceral response to attack people on their appearance, short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? And would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. That I can tell you.
But Jake,
I want to give Mr. Trump.
That's unbelievable. You just attacked him on his looks right there. That was wonderfully ironic. But you see, the Republican voter is at the same level that Trump is, a third grade reading level. So when Rand Paul comes in with a sophisticated answer and uses words like non sequitur and sophomoric, and my goodness, you've already lost. I can't hear you, dude. Your jaw's broken. Okay, so now don't get me wrong. I agree with Rand Paul 1,000 times more than I agree with Donald Trump. I think Rand Paul would be a better president. I think Rand Paul is right on the Middle East. I think he's right on the war on drugs. We're talking about how do you do a debate, especially a Republican debate. And what you do is you bully people. The Republicans love that. They elected George W. Bush, even though he's got, at best, 2 brain cells to rub together inside his head, right? And then you think they didn't know that? The guy's going, sovereignty, I don't know what sovereignty is. They elected that guy. They don't care about whether you're intelligent or you're sophomoric. They elected Bush because he was strong. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to attack countries whether it's right or wrong, and I'm going to stand by it. Don't switch horses in midstream. That even worked for the American electorate, and they picked him over John Kerry. So if you want to win a debate, you come out and you come out strong. Break a couple of jaws first, and then we'll get to policy.